help us to collaborate, to attract additional resources, to understand what is governmental priority, what specific project government are eager to support, and we in a constant contact trying to combine money available in our budget. It's rather scarce money for reconstruction and development, and money which is available in development banks. It's a rather significant amount if we think proactively, strategically, because we can combine and multiply existing amounts. And the good example is multipliers which we absorbed with the World Bank previously. It helped us multiply grants financing by 3 times. So it's also quite helpful to think strategically what we want to achieve using grant money. But the missing point is how to make possible for business to understand that projects of Ukraine are bankable, they are risk-free, and we need to think and create a structure which helps us existing projects made possible for business to participate, to step up and to invest in Ukraine, even during the war.
I ain't even worried about it.
Not all targets can be destroyed. And I think that even if Russia destroyed some specific facility, we are capable to restore it.
We're gonna rock with it just like this.
Thank you for your feedback, Sergey. Yeah, big round of applause. Very well deserved. And one of the things we said, and that I'll turn to our good friend Valdis, but how could we facilitate? And I'm saying that because, like you said, we have the enablers. You and I are the ones who are in the action, but the enablers are really around us in terms of feasibility study and pre-feasibility studies. How can we use some of these funds to have a larger pipeline of bankable projects? You know, you already created this one unique stream where you can see the project. That's very helpful for people in the business sector, where you can find the list of projects. We were saying with Sergey yesterday, you know, how do you make some of these projects bankable? And oftentimes I'm saying that to our colleagues from the International Financial Institution is you have to start with the first thing, which is do you have a pre-feasibility study in order to be able to lead to a bankable projects that once you have one, you could even return that and have something evergreen, because then you can include the cost of the pre-feasibility and feasibility study into the project finance, and then you could have something evergreen. So that was one of the things with Sergey we discussed yesterday that we should be considering. Now, let me turn to a colleague which needs no introduction, Valdis Dombrovskis. I mean, obviously, Valdis, you represent the European Union. You have been front and center. You have been an amazing colleague at the G7. You always bring wisdom to the table, and certainly a lot of leadership that has helped us achieve a big agenda. I'm sure colleagues would like to hear from you today about the Ukrainian investment facility, which is going in that direction in terms of everything that the EU has done in order to facilitate business investment, de-risking, addressing, you know, sometimes what I call the first mile, the last mile in some of these projects to make them easier to achieve. So with that, Valdis, I just want to say on behalf of all the colleagues also here, but also at the G7, thank you for your leadership. Thank you for the leadership of the EU. And thank you also for President von der Leyen and her words today, because, you know, you are at the center of the efforts, and everyone is grateful for you. So
we're listening in there to a Ukrainian recovery conference taking place in Rome, Italy. This also comes as we were hearing from Secretary of State Marco Rubio stating that the
about progress where it doesn't really exist, because Israel continues to insist on certain positions that would make the implementation almost impossible in their eyes. Specifically, the redeployment of Israeli forces. Israel does not want to let go of Rafah, and we know that this is very significant for Israel, because we've already heard from the Israeli Minister of Defense saying that there's a plan to create a concentration camp there, a city of tents where Palestinians would be displaced,
What's up, everybody? Join the chat. We got 27 people in here. How y'all doing?
Or pushed to leave the Gaza Strip. The Hamas and the other groups do not want to see continued presence for Israel in the so-called Morag corridor that cuts off Rafah from the rest of the Gaza Strip.
Hello, how y'all doing?
Well, let's discuss this further now with Gideon Levy, who's a columnist for the Israeli newspaper Haaretz. He's joining us from Tel Aviv. Thank you so much for your time. It would seem like mass displacement of Palestinians in Gaza is no longer just a fringe idea, but an explicit goal of Israeli policy, regardless of the clear legal humanitarian ramifications. How did this come about?
Oh, no, I don't want to check that
I
out.
think it wasn't there for a long time, but none of us really dared to believe that it's going to happen. And still, I hope it will not happen. Because the idea started a long time ago when Donald Trump gave the green light with his excellent idea to turn Gaza into a Riviera. And turning Gaza into Riviera required just one small thing: evacuating Gaza from all its Palestinian inhabitants, 2.3 million people. This was the green light for Israel to start to think things that, by definition, are criminal, not legitimate, and not moral. But once Donald Trump gave the permission, Israel goes for it, and I don't see the world stopping Israel.
Is the Israeli army in a position today, Gideon, to both fight in Gaza and also build this humanitarian city that's been presented in this plan? Does Israel have the resources to do this right now?
So first of all, the army declared that he's not capable
Man,
of
that's a
doing
whole
it.
lot of people, man.
But, if they get an order, they will obey as usual. And, the more cruel it is, the less resources you need to establish it. We are not speaking about really building a city with buildings and clinics and hospitals and schools. Not at all. We are talking about building a huge tents camp with no services whatsoever, no infrastructures, nothing that can look like a human place. And for this, you need much smaller resources. And to push those poor Gazans into this cage will be very easy because Israel will shoot them as it does now on a daily.
Yeah, and as the UN envoy, the UNRWA commissioner has said this would be akin to building really a concentration camp. How are Israelis viewing this, given the history, the establishment of essentially what amounts to a concentration camp at the hands of Israel? Is there any discussion or debate within Israel and Israeli society about the morality and long-term consequences of such a policy?
Unfortunately, most of the Holocaust survivors are not with us anymore. I wonder how would they react when they see that the state and the society, which was built on the ashes of the Holocaust, on the ashes of the extermination camps, on the ashes of the ghettos in Europe, in Eastern Europe, has a plan to establish a ghetto. Now, even the fact that it is a legitimate idea in the air, and right now it is a legitimate idea in the air in Israel, is devastating, even if it will not happen, and it might also become true. Again and again, I repeat myself, on the 7th of October, most of the Israelis lost any interest in Gaza, lost any sense of humanity or empathy with the sufferer of Gaza. They all think that after the 7th of October, there are no innocent people in Gaza, including not the babies, the newborn babies. And most of the Israelis believe that Gaza deserves everything. And the outcome we see in our own eyes.
It is frightening to think that the majority of Israeli society believes this. Thank you so much for bringing us a view there from Israel. Gideon Levy, live from Tel Aviv.
Thank you.
Elsewhere, Israeli settlers have been carrying near daily attacks against Palestinians in the occupied West Bank. Settlers stormed towns near the city of Nablus and destroyed the main water pipeline that supplies 6 Palestinian villages. They brought in bulldozers and razed the only road connecting 2 villages. And Israel's military has been conducting daily raids in the besieged Tulkarem and Jenin refugee camps in the occupied West Bank. Tens of thousands of Palestinians have been displaced in a 6-month-long assault. Some Palestinian women were briefly allowed back in their homes, but only to pack up a lifetime of belongings and leave. Michael Apple has their story.
They wait, their green ID books in hand. They had to apply for permission from the Israeli military to very briefly return to their homes in Al-Hawashin and Jenin. They're among tens of thousands forcibly displaced by the most intense Israeli assault on the occupied West Bank in decades. These women haven't seen their homes or possessions in more than 6 months. No one here knows what they'll find. Nisreen Abu Zaina is anxious.
We just want to see the camp and assure our people and the residents, check our homes, and make sure one day we can return. We pray that one day we will be back.
After hours of waiting, Israeli soldiers usher them closer. A coordinator watches on and accompanies the woman as they make the long walk to their neighborhood in the center of Jenin. Paramedics from the Palestine Red Crescent Society are on hand to help. Suitcases are stuffed with as much as they can carry.
The whole experience was of being searched over and over again, but we eventually managed to get to our homes that are still standing. We hope they stay that way. We walked a long distance on destroyed roads. The stench was unbearable.
Milligan, hello, how you doing, Milligan? Appreciate you for joining.
Nisreen and the others were given 40 minutes. 40 minutes to pack a lifetime of memories into a few bags. The agony of not knowing if they'll ever return, weighing heavily on them. Michael Apple, Al Jazeera.
And 3 people have been killed in a shooting and stabbing attack in the occupied West Bank. The Israeli army says it shot and killed 2 Palestinians suspected of carrying out the assault near the illegal Israeli settlement of Gush Etzion in the south of the territory. An Israeli security guard was also killed and several people injured. The Israeli army has closed off the nearby Palestinian city of Halhul, north of Hebron, and set up roadblocks. Still ahead on Al Jazeera, the French president and British prime minister are expected to announce new initiatives to stop migrants from crossing into the UK.
I say I am extremely confident that the recovery is going to be very, very fast and very strong once the war is over. And we're walking the talk. Just today in the conference, we're signing agreements with the Ukrainian government for 600 million euros to finance critical infrastructures in energy and transport. We're signing 10 agreements with European export credit agencies to provide guarantees for EU companies exporting to Ukraine, and this is already building a backbone of relationship between the 2 economies. We have been signing agreements with Ukrainian banks to provide finance for SMEs throughout the country. So we're walking the talk, and we're doing it together. This is a very important point, working together. We're not competing. We see where are you more effective, where is the World Bank better placed, where is UN development program on the ground, so that we can really be as effective as possible working as a system. Very fast, the 2 other points I wanted to flag. The second point I want to flag is the expectations. So we know economics is about expectations. The accession to the European Union is the most powerful expectation for any country. Actually, it's no wonder that so many countries want to join, because the experience of the latest accession and enlargement in 2004 shows that by 2019, the GDP per capita of these countries had doubled, and the European Union's GDP had increased by 30%. This is really showing the power of enlargement. And so we need to make sure that we have a successful enlargement, and providing technical expertise and technical assistance is very important. And today we're launching, actually today, together with the EBRD and the European Commission, an Ukraine First program to provide the technical assistance to shape those projects, those bankable projects, to mobilize the private sector. And the third and final point, but I really want to mention it, it has to do with the previous speakers and the head of the OECD. governance and institutions. Private investors will invest in Ukraine if they trust that there is legal certainty, that there is legal security, and that there is no corruption. And so it is of the utmost importance, and we discuss it every time we meet with Serhiy, that we also support the Ukrainian institutions to ensure that there is a business favorable environment when it comes to the rule of law, trust, and a good financial management in the country, in the public and in the private sector.
Thank you very much. And I think you inspired all of us when you said build back better. If I listen to you, I mean, I heard that also from some of the people today. Serhiy, we have this great opportunity to do that with
you. We're represented today, and your continent is represented by Gabon, Guinea-Bissau, Liberia, Mauritania, and Senegal, all very vibrant places with very valuable land, great minerals, great oil deposits,
meeting that Trump had
and wonderful
with the
people. Last month, the U.S.
Africa
Business Summit had recorded an attendance record, actually, and generated $2.5 billion in new economic deals for the United States. On June 27th, the foreign ministers of the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Rwanda visited the White House to sign a historic peace agreement that we worked out. They've been fighting for 30 years. 7 million are dead, and they think the number is actually quite a bit higher than that. It's been a long and vicious fight, and I just wanted to say that the countries represented were very happy that we were able to solve that problem. I think over the next couple of weeks, the leaders of both countries will come to sign the final agreement. As you know, we had foreign ministers last week, but we're going to be signing an end to the horrible 30-year war. It's been going on for a long time.
See, this what a lot of people don't know, which I think we should put that out there. Trump stopped, just like he did a ceasefire for Israel and Iran. He did a ceasefire in Africa with these black countries basically going to war. It was a 30-year war that Trump stopped. So we got to give him credit for that. Let's continue.
I've been reading about it, hearing about it, and it was a vicious war. It was a terrible war. I want to thank our outstanding senior advisor for Africa, Masad Boulos, for helping to mediate this breakthrough. He was very much involved in that settlement. Most people thought it couldn't be done, but there's still much more to be done, and we're going to be facilitating peace also in places like Sudan, where they have a lot of problems, Libya and others. We have there's a lot of anger on your continent, and we've been able to solve a lot of it. My administration is committed to strengthening our friendships in Africa through economic development efforts that benefit both the United States and our partners. And we're shifting from AID to trade. We had AID, or aid as we sometimes call it, right to trade. And trade seems to be a foundation that I've been able to settle a lot of these disputes, like as an example, India and Pakistan, Kosovo, Serbia. I said, you guys are going to fight, we're not going to trade. And we seem to be quite successful in doing that. To that end, we have closed the USAID group to eliminate waste, fraud, and abuse, which was tremendous waste, fraud, and abuse. And we're working tirelessly to forge new economic opportunities involving both the United States and many African nations. There's great economic potential in Africa, like few other places in many ways. In the long run, this will be far more effective and sustainable and beneficial than anything else that we can be doing together. I'm eager to work with each of you on your vital issues and also to discuss security. We've encouraged our staff at the White House to work along with these nations. There's such tremendous wealth there and potential there. We encourage the countries here today to make greater investments in defense. Hopefully, of course, buying our equipment, because we do make the best defense equipment. I guess we proved that about 2 weeks ago in Iran, but we make the best equipment, best military equipment anywhere in the world by far. There's nobody close. And keep pursuing the fight against terrorism, which is a big problem in Africa. Immigration will also be on the agenda, and I hope we can bring down the high rates of people overstaying visas and also make progress on the safe third country agreements. And once again, I want to thank you all for being here, and it's an honor for me. Some of you I've met, and some of you I just got to meet, and I think it would be nice if you said a few words to the press, which is right back here. Do we have a camera over here? It'd be nice if you could, oh, there it is. You could speak to the, you don't want to turn your head so much. I do it a lot. It's not pleasant.
Hello, Ron, how you doing?
But perhaps we could start with you, please. Thank you very much. Great gentleman, by the way.
Merci pour m'avoir donné la parole, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you for giving me the floor, Mr. President. First of all, I would like to thank you, Mr. President Trump.
Hello, Gino, how you doing?
For inviting us to come here today.
I'm
President Ghazouani, President of the Islamic Republic of Mauritania.
Donc, je vous remercie, Monsieur le Président, pour m'avoir
Thank you, Mr. President,
adressé cette
for
invitation.
this invitation
Et l'avoir aussi adressé à mes collègues ici présents.
and the invitation you sent to the other colleagues
C'est
present
un
here
message
today.
très fort de votre
This is a very strong message
nous recevons
from
bien
you,
votre
and
message.
we are receiving this message
message que nous recevons de
very
vous,
well.
c'est
This
l'intérêt
is
que vous portez à
a
nos pays
message
respectifs.
of interest
Et que vous
that
portez
you're
aussi
sending
à
to
travers
us,
nous
and it's
à
a
l'Afrique en tant que
message that you're sending to the whole of
Tout
Africa.
cela, c'est généreux de votre
All
part.
of this is generous on your
Nous le
part.
recevons.
We
Et
are
nous l'acceptons.
receiving this, and we accept this message from you.
Pour en ce qui, je voudrais aussi, avant de venir à la présentation de mon pays,
Before I talk about my country,
dire tout l'intérêt que nous portons
I would like to
à
let
l'engagement
you know
du
that
président
we
Trump
are
en faveur de la paix à travers
I've
le
never
monde.
seen a more
delighted to
active
see
president.
President
Le président-
Trump's commitment to our
Vous êtes,
continent. Mr. President,
Au cours de cette petite période qui ne dépasse pas quelques
in the
mois,
short time you've been
à
back
chaque
in
fois-
office, the last few months,
vous venez au secours de la paix.
you came
Vous l'avez
to the
fait
rescue for
en Asie,
peace. You did it in Asia,
et l'Inde.
Sammy
with
Smith,
Pakistan
all
and
these
India.
leaders can't wait to come
commencé.
speak to Trump.
Et si elle avait continué, on
the
peut
war sort of
imaginer
started, and if it had gone
vraiment des
on,
After
conséquences
dominating Iran,
consequences
all these
could have
leaders
been
are
a real disaster.
Vous avez, depuis le début, vous êtes sur un
Since the
travail
beginning,
énorme en ce qui concerne
You've been doing a
cette
great
guerre
deal of work
au niveau de l'Europe, c'est-à-dire
on the
Ukraine,
war
ce
in Europe,
conflit.
that is the conflict
Russie.
between Russia and Ukraine.
Vous n'avez pas tardé
You
à venir rapidement aussi
rushed
en Afrique
to Africa
pour résoudre un problème
to
précis,
resolve
où
a
il y a eu
long-standing problem.
beaucoup d'efforts qui ont été
Lots of
consentis
efforts had been made
par beaucoup de chefs d'État.
by many heads of states,
Mais il est arrivé
but
qu'avec votre volonté,
your
vous avez
will
fait signer
made it
des
possible
accords.
for
Et
this
maintenant,
agreement
nous
to be
avons
signed.
ce conflit
And now,
derrière nous.
this conflict is behind
Vous êtes en
us.
train de travailler
You are currently
avec
working
beaucoup d'enthousiasme,
with a great deal of
avec
enthusiasm,
beaucoup d'intérêt et de force sur le Moyen-Orient.
and you're also
Et là
working
aussi,
on
c'est
the
un
Middle
autre
East.
problème.
You're paying a great
Nous
deal of
savons
attention
tous
to the
depuis
Middle
quand
East.
il est vieux
We
de combien
all
d'années.
know how far back this conflict
C'est
goes.
un conflit qui est vieux
It is a conflict
d'à peu près 80 ans,
that is about
Plus
80
quand
years
même.
old,
de 70 ans.
70
Mais c'est
years,
aussi une guerre
but it is also a
depuis
war
maintenant une année. et
that
demie.
has been raging
Et
for
elle a coûté la
a
vie,
year and a
et
half.
vous l'avez dit vous-même.
And
Elle
you've
a
also
coûté la
talked
vie
about the
à
human
énormément
toll.
de personnes.
Many people have died in this conflict.
Donc, tout cela, en énumérant ceci, vous avez bien sûr trouvé,
Of course,
fait arrêter la guerre
you also
entre
stopped
l'Iran et Israël. Et
the
là
war
aussi,
between
ça a
Iran
été
and
désastreux
Israel.
pour toute
That could
la
have
région
been a real disaster for the region. It's a sensitive region to start with. Your work in favor of peace has been tremendous, and we are also very interested in supporting peace in the same way. When there's no peace, like you said earlier today, when there is no peace, a lot of other things are lacking. When there is no peace, it is difficult to have prosperity. It is difficult to have calm, to have a sense of quietness. It's hard to sleep. It's hard to go about your business every day. You understand that well, Mr. President, and you're working on this. So thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
I
am the president of Mauritania. Mauritania is a small country. Depending on the criteria you apply. If you look at the number of people who live in Mauritania, it's a small country because we have about 5 million people in Mauritania. We might just be a little bit over 5 million. It's a small country also in the sense that what influence it has throughout the world. It's not like the U.S., Mr. President. Internationally, we understand that our weight, our influence is not that great, and we have no complex about this. It's also a small country because of our level of prosperity. We're not a very prosperous country. We have many problems related to the well-being of our population. But it is also a great country, a big country in other ways. Mauritania is a great country in the sense of its strategic position. It is on the Atlantic coast, which makes it a neighbor to the U.S. It is what unites North Africa and Sub-Saharan Africa, or what links the two. That is its strategic position, but also in terms of resources. We have a great deal of resources, many resources, and we have a lot of opportunities to offer in terms of investment. We have minerals, rare earths, rare minerals. We have manganese. We have uranium. And we have a good inclination that we have lithium and other minerals. We're the second largest producer for the last 60 years in Africa of iron ore. We produce a lot. And we have a lot of resources in our seawaters, so lots of fishing and whatnot. I don't want to spend too much time on this.
We have to go.
Welcome everything. For us, it's the second time here to come as a guest. The first time we had that meeting in Guinea-Bissau. But I will not talk so much. But Guinea-Bissau is a peaceful country and we are a small country, but we are a great state. Not a great state like the United States. But we regret that as well. And to end, we are following your dynamics and the war with Russia and Ukraine. And you can count on Guinea-Bissau. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Beautiful. Thank you very much. Please, go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, let me congratulate you for your recent celebration of your 249th anniversary. We did in Liberia at your embassy. Mr. President, we thank you for this opportunity to be here. Liberia is a longtime friend of the United States, and we believe in your policy of making America great again. And we also go a long way with you in your diplomacy that has to do with economic development and commercial friendship. Liberia has a lot of minerals, and one of the things we ask as good friends for a long time is the opportunity to do a survey of our minerals. Mm-hmm. And also we are committed to peace, and we've been very lucky within our region. We had a country that have had a series of democratic elections, and our country had been cooling down. And also we want to encourage American involvement in the investment in Liberia. Yeah. We'd like to see that happen. We want to work with the United States in peace and security within the region, because we are committed to that. And we just want to thank you so much for this opportunity.
Well, thank you. It's such good English, such beautiful. Where did you learn to speak so beautifully? Where were you educated? Where?
Yes, sir.
In Liberia?
Yes, sir.
Well, that's very interesting. It's beautiful English.
Sure.
I have people at this table can't speak nearly as well, and they come from
to meet a great American president. Homologue président africain. Je voudrais avant tout remercier ici officiellement
No microphone for the speaker.
le travail d'amitié entre nos différents pays.
No interpretation.
Parce qu'aujourd'hui, le président Trump
There's no microphone for the speaker.
Et la fierté du monde entier. Dans plusieurs domaines, le domaine économique,
Still no microphone for the
le
speaker.
domaine politique et au niveau diplomatique, je salue.
Could you turn that on? Yeah. Just press it. There you go.
Yes. Et au niveau diplomatique, je salue
I
les
would
succès
like
que vous avez
to commend
obtenus
you,
pour
Mr.
amener l'accord de
President,
paix entre la RDC et le
for the
Rwanda.
success you had
Mais
in
vous ne
reaching a
devez
peace
pas vous
agreement
arrêter
between
là.
Rwanda and the
L'Afrique est un
DRC.
grand continent où il y a beaucoup
Africa
de
is a
problèmes.
vast
Nous
continent
comptons
that
énormément
has
sur
many
vous pour amener la
problems,
paix
and
au
we
Soudan
truly count on
et même
you
dans le
for your
Sahel.
assistance
Parce
in
qu'on ne peut pas
Sudan
investir
and in the Sahel, because
dans la guerre.
no investment
Pour
can be
investir, il
made
faut la paix.
when there is a
Et je
war.
pense que l'ensemble
For
des 5 chefs
investment,
d'État
you
où nous
need
sommes ici
peace.
présents,
The other heads of state who
nos
are
pays
here
sont en
with
paix.
me represent countries that are
Le Gabon
at
est un havre de
peace,
paix depuis longtemps.
and that has been the
Et
case
lorsque nous sommes
for
ici
some
sur cette table, nous
When-
disposons également des matières premières,
We also have raw
Des minerais,
materials,
des terres rares, du nobile,
minerals, rare
Nous ne sommes
earths.
pas des pays pauvres.
We are not poor countries.
Nous sommes des pays riches en
We
matière
are rich countries when it comes to
Mais
raw
nous avons besoin des
materials.
partenaires
But we need
pour nous
partners
accompagner pour les
to
développer.
support us and
Avec
help
des
us develop
partenariats
those
win-win,
resources with win-win
gagnant-gagnant.
partnerships.
C'est ce que nous souhaitons.
That is our
Je suis
wish.
souvent vos discours
I
et je
often
m'inscris
listen
à
to your
l'intérieur
remarks and speeches,
parce que
Mr.
nous voulons que nos
President.
matières premières soient transformées mais
We
dorénavant
also
sur place.
want our raw materials to be processed
Chez nous,
locally
pour
in
créer
our
de la valeur,
countries so that we can
que pour créer
create
des emplois pour les
value
jeunes,
and to create
pour qu'ils
jobs
arrêtent de
for
mourir,
youth so that
de
they
traverser la
stop
mer pour
dying.
venir jusqu'ici.
They are crossing the sea,
Et c'est ce que nous attendons,
the ocean,
la
to go to other
transformation locale
countries.
sur place.
That is what we want
Le
to
Gabon
have, local
est un
processing
pays
of raw
riche
materials.
de 2 millions
Gabon
500 000 habitants,
is a rich country. We have
avec
over
une
2
énorme
million
diversité
inhabitants and a great
et
deal
plusieurs matières premières,
of
avec du pétrole,
diversity,
des
raw
réserves de gaz.
materials, oil and gas
Et nous
reserves,
souhaitons que ce soit exploité
and we would like those resources to be
dans un
tapped
modèle économique qui nous arrange.
using an economic
Depuis le 30
model
août 2023,
that fits.
date du coup de la libération,
Since
nous avons
our
changé
liberation,
notre registre de commerce.
we have
Nous avons mis de
changed
la transparence,
how we do
des appels
trade.
d'offres.
We've focused on
Pour
transparency
tous ceux qui veulent
and
venir
bids
investir
for
chez nous.
anyone who wants to come invest in our country.
Si vous regardez l'actualité,
If you
nous avons également
follow the
demandé au Gabon de
news, we've
revoir les accords de
also
pêche avec l'Union européenne.
worked on
Parce que nous
agreements
estimons qu'ils
with
n'étaient pas
the
win-win.
European Union, and we wanted to
Et donc, c'est un
review
marché
those because
ouvert.
we didn't think that those
On a
were
pris
win-win
l'engagement de
opportunities.
transformer
So
du
our market
manganèse
is
sur
open.
place.
We want to
Le manganèse
process
que vous achetez ici
manganese
par l'intermédiaire de la
locally,
société Eramet.
which you
Il vient du
purchase
Gabon.
through a
Je ne sais
company
pas à quel prix
called
vous l'achetez,
Eramet,
mais je suis sûr que vous l'achetez plus cher.
and I'm sure that it's more
Lorsqu'il le prend chez nous.
expensive
Pourquoi ne pas venir
compared
investir
to
sur place et
when
le
you
transformer
can
sur place?
come and buy it directly
Pour le
from
transformer,
us.
nous avons besoin
In order to do
de
this
8 à
local
10 gigas
processing, we need
d'électricité.
8 to 10
C'est encore un marché
gigawatts
ouvert
of electricity.
pour toutes les
Again,
sociétés américaines
this
qui
is
veulent
an
venir
open
investir chez
bid.
nous dans
Any
l'électricité.
American company that wants to invest
C'est un
in
domaine à
electricity in Gabon
Nous avons
is
aussi en matière de
welcome to
défense
take advantage of that opportunity.
Oui.
Now, looking at defense,
le golfe de Guinée
the Gulf of
qui fait
Guinea
face à la
is an
piraterie
issue.
maritime.
There is maritime
Et nous devons le
piracy
stabiliser
in
ensemble.
that area, and we want to
Vous
work
avez parlé que
together
vous
to
avez les meilleurs
stabilize it.
équipements
You
militaires.
said you had the
Oui,
best
nous le
equipment,
souhaitons.
the best military equipment,
Pour
and that's what
repousser
we'd like to
la
have,
piraterie maritime
so
dans
that
le
we
golfe de
can
Guinée.
stop maritime piracy in the
Seuls,
Gulf
nous ne
of Guinea.
pouvons pas.
We can't do it
On a
alone.
besoin d'un partenaire
We need
fiable,
a
robuste,
reliable and strong
s'engage
partner that is
avec du
committed
concret.
and that takes
Et moi, je vous aime parce que
real
vous êtes
steps, real
pragmatique.
action. We also need to be
Vous êtes
pragmatic,
concret.
and that's what you
Moi, en tant
are.
que général, je le suis aussi.
And I'm a general,
J'aime les
and I
choses qui
am
vont
too.
vite.
I'm pragmatic. I like it when
Le
things
pays, il est libre,
move
il est
quickly.
ouvert à tout le monde.
Our country is
Venez
free,
investir, ne
open
soyez pas les
to one
derniers
and all.
à venir
You are
frapper aux portes de
welcome
l'Afrique.
to come and
Sinon, d'autres
invest.
viendront à votre place.
Otherwise, other
C'est ce que
countries
je tenais à
might
vous dire.
come
Merci.
instead of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Good job. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay.
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you so much,
Je voudrais d'abord
Mr. President.
vous remercier pour
I would like
l'invitation
to
et
thank
dire
you for this
l'honneur que nous
invitation.
avons aujourd'hui
It is an honor for
concernant
us
d'être à la Maison Blanche
to be
et pour
here
pouvoir
at the
échanger
White
avec
House
vous
and to have this
sur
opportunity to
le
speak
nouveau
with
cadre de
you
partenariat que
about
vous
the
voulez,
new partnership
définir avec l'Afrique
that you are putting in
concernant
place with
particulièrement
Africa,
les investissements.
particularly for
Mais avant, je voudrais
investment.
saluer votre
I
engagement
also
pour
wanted
la
to
paix dans le
commend
monde.
you for your commitment to peace throughout the world and the incredible diplomatic success that you had with the DRC, as my colleagues mentioned. You said that this put an end to a long war that claimed many lives, and thankfully you were here to put an end to this 30-year war. I also wanted to express that Africa supports all efforts to bring back peace to Sudan, Libya, and in the Sahel. Mr. President, as you've seen, you can only do business when there is peace and security, and you build peace everywhere in the world so that there can be better investments. The entire world is grateful to you for this.
Now, with respect to my country, Senegal, I've been president for some 15, 16 months now. And I want to reassure all American investors about our country's political stability and our favorable regulatory environment, which we are continuously improving upon in order to attract more investment. I wanted to speak about two projects that I think are an exceptional opportunity. I will speak about the U.S. Ecological Survey, which can help assess the potential of the minerals in our country. And thanks to American companies, we've been able to discover oil and gas. Some 950 billion cubic meters of gas that we can tap into in order to support our economy. And again, here we were able to do this with an American company. Another project I'd like to mention, and again, I would like to invite American investors to take part in this. It's for a digital city. We identified a space within the city of Dakar. It has a view of the sea. It's on some 40 hectares, and this is a great opportunity for American tech companies to come in and make Dakar a tech city open to Africa. I was wondering what your secret was for resolving all these complex crises, and I know you are a tremendous golf player. Golf requires concentration and precision, qualities that also make for a great leader. Senegal has exceptional opportunities to
in
the area of tourism.
I believe that's the one that was at the White House, guys.
An investment could be made in a golf course in Senegal. It would just be 6 hours by flight from New York, from Miami, from Europe, or from the Gulf, and that would be an opportunity for you to show off your skills on the golf course too. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you very much. It's very nice. It's some way to show off my skills. It's a long trip to show off my skill, but that's really nice. And he's led a very interesting life. He looks like a very young person. He's a little older than he looks, but a fantastic job. He was treated very unfairly by his government, and he prevailed. And so congratulations on that. Really, congratulations. A great job. And you've all done a fantastic job. And so we'll be talking to you as we have the meal. Do you want to ask any questions, please? Where's my reporter from Africa? There you are. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you, Mr. President.
She's very famous in Africa. Okay?
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Miss, I have one question for the African presidents and one question for President Trump. As you can see, Mr. President Trump, all the African presidents are very happy with your efforts to bring peace in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. My question to you is, today you are making history by receiving 5 African presidents and showing the interest of the United States to collaborate and to work close with the African nations. African continent is watching, African youth is watching, and this new approach that your administration is taking to deal with African nations, not only based on help, but in doing business that everybody can win, is really much appreciated for all the Africans. My question is, are you planning, Mr. President, in the future to travel to Africa to see firsthand all those countries in Africa, all those potential that those countries have? And for the African leaders, my question is, as you can see, President Trump is working to bring peace not only in Africa, but also in the world. Are you all considering to nominate President Trump for a Nobel Prize Peace?
That's a very nice reporter. I got to meet her 2 weeks ago when we had the Congo and Rwanda, and we had some other people up from Africa, and that was the first time. But that's very nice. I appreciate the questions. Very nice, actually. Would you like to? At some point, I would like to go to Africa. Absolutely. We're going to see what the schedule is, but at some point, I would like to do that very much. Would you like to give a fast answer, please?
Thank you very much. Of course, we are supporting this.
Microphone, please.
Yeah, microphone, please.
Of course, on soutient cette dynamique pour la paix.
We are in favor of this dynamic for peace. We are very committed on peace. I am the first head of state who went to Russia and who went to Ukraine both since the start of the war. I held the presidency of ECOWAS, and I went to see Mr. Putin. We spoke for 4 hours, and then I went to Ukraine. I spent 12 hours on a train to speak to President Zelensky. But now the weight of President Trump is something else altogether. We are with you. We are behind you to see what we can do to help bring peace back. No one wins when there's war. So you have our support so that we can bring peace back. Thank you.
Very nice. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Go ahead, please.
Merci, Monsieur le Président Trump. Merci.
Thank you, Mr. President Trump.
Mesdames,
thank you
la presse et messieurs.
For your questions.
Lauréat pour le prix Nobel de la paix. Je ne vois pas d'objection.
A Nobel Peace Prize, while I don't see any problem with it, I think that President Trump deserves it for all the efforts that he's worked on. And he brought peace back in the SEAC region. That is my region, the region where DRC and Rwanda signed a deal. And so he is now bringing peace back into a region where that was never possible. So I believe that he does deserve a Nobel Peace Prize. That is my opinion on this.
Well, thank you very much. It's very, very nice. Thank you. I didn't know I'd be treated this nicely. This is great. We could do this all day long. Thank you very much. Please, go ahead.
Mr. President, I believe that we have to continue to support America in the strength to be able to bring about peace in the world. America is a melting point and also a country that we all look forward to. And I want to encourage you, because without peace, we cannot have a world to live in. And we stand with you on that.
That's right. Thank you. Well said. Please.
Thank you, Mr. President, and thank you for your question. Very important question indeed. Forgive me for saying this, but unfortunately, I don't really understand, I don't know how things work when it comes to Nobel Prizes, but I can guarantee you that Mauritania would never be opposed to President Trump receiving a Nobel Peace Prize, because he's already working very hard in favor of peace throughout the world, with no distinction, no regard to what continent it's on, and he's working on areas where there are tensions everywhere, and he's committed towards peace, and our world needs more peace. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup. Je pense que sera la décision du jury.
The jury will decide. It's not a matter of voting amongst our countries, but what is for sure is that the results and the work has been done in such a short amount of time show that you would be a good recipient. And I'm sure that the jury sees that and the rest of the world sees it as well and understands it. When the time comes, I think everyone will see that it is a deserved prize. Congratulations on what you've done so far. If we took a poll, I think you would be very far ahead in those polls.
Thank you very much. Very nice. All of you, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Peter?
Thank you, President Trump. James Comey and John Brennan, now under criminal investigation related to the Trump-Russia probe. Do you want to see these two guys behind bars?
Well, I know nothing about it other than what I read today, but I will tell you, I think they're very dishonest people. I think they're crooked as hell, and maybe they have to pay a price for that. I believe they are truly bad people and dishonest people. So whatever happens, happens.
And now, a few weeks after the strikes that you ordered on the nuclear facilities in Iran, there is an Iranian official who says you, President Trump, have done something that he can no longer sunbathe in Mar-a-Lago. As you lie there with your stomach to the sun, a small drone might hit you in the navel. It's very simple. Do you think that's a real threat? And when is the last time you went sunbathing anyway?
It's been a long time. It's been a long time. I don't know. Maybe I was around 7 or so. I'm not too big into it. Yeah, I guess it's a threat. I'm not sure it's a threat, actually, but perhaps it is.
And on one other subject, two Democratic senators now, Cory Booker and Alex Padilla, have a new bill out. They want to require CBP and ICE officers to have legible IDs, and they don't want CBP or ICE officers covering their faces. Would you ever sign that?
Well, they wouldn't be saying that if they didn't hate our country, and they obviously do. I'm surprised that they would do it, knowing a little bit about them. I don't know them well, but these officers are doing a tremendous job. They're great patriots. If you expose them because of statements like have been made by Democrats and others on the left, usually, mostly, I think probably exclusively, you put them in great danger, tremendous danger. And it's sort of funny when people picket in front of Columbia, in front of Harvard, and they have masks on, more than masks. I mean, you can't see anything. Nobody complains about that. But when a patriot who works for ICE or Border Patrol puts a mask on so that they won't recognize him and his family, so they can lead a little bit of a normal life after having worked so hard and so dangerously, there's a problem with that. So they have this is the problem with the Democrats. They have a lot of bad things going on in their heads. They've really become they've lost their confidence, number one, and they've become somewhat deranged. I want to do whatever's necessary to protect our great law enforcement people, and they are right at the top of the list.
And your Agriculture Department also announced this week that they are going to start limiting Chinese ownership of American farmland. Why do you think that the Chinese have been buying up all this farmland in our country so close to military installations?
Well, I don't want to get into that. I have a very good relationship with President Xi. We're going to see, and I'm going to, they're going to be making a recommendation to me, but we have a very good relationship. As you know, they're paying a lot of tariffs to the United States now, and so I'm not going to get into that right now. Yeah, please.
Yesterday, the Wall Street Journal reported that the White House was weighing whether to send another Patriot air defense system to Ukraine. Can you confirm that reporting?
They would like it. They've asked for it. They're very rare indeed, because a lot of systems have been sent to Ukraine. But they would like to. I know they made the request. We're going to have to take a look at it. It's very expensive system. It's a shame that we have to spend so much money on a war that would have never happened if I were president. That's a terrible, terrible war over there, and it's really a shame. It's very sad. When you talk about a system like that, highly sophisticated, tremendous amount of money, and they're doing it because they want to prevent death. They're getting hit hard, very hard. So we're looking at it.
Also on Russia.
As well, Ukraine was hit by over 700 drones sent by Russia last night. What's your response to that attack?
Well, I've been sort of letting people know I'm not happy about what's going on. It's a war that should have never happened. It should not happen now. They're losing. Now it's up. I've been saying 5,000. Now it's up to 7,000. Think of it, 7,000 people a week on both sides. 7,000 people, young, mostly military people, young souls are dead and dying, and it should be stopped. Should be stopped. Very sad to see what's happening. Yes, please.
Sir, can you explain how you calculated your latest round of tariffs? Was there a formula that was used? And do you expect any of these countries to face tariffs as well?
The formula was a formula based on common sense, based on deficits, based on how we've been treated over the years, and based on raw numbers. And we're going to have a couple of more coming out today. Brazil, as an example, has been not good to us, not good at all. We're going to be releasing a Brazil number, I think, later on this afternoon or tomorrow morning. But they're based on very substantial facts and also past history. You look at the past history, we never had anybody in the White House that understood the numbers or were into it like I have. You know, we've taken in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs, hundreds of billions, and we haven't even started yet. And it's going to be a great thing for our country. I think it's going to be a fair thing for the world. And we really haven't had too many complaints because I'm keeping them at a very low number, very conservative, as you would say, number. And we haven't had, I'm sure they will be complaining at certain points, but we haven't had complaints. We've been treated very unfairly by both friend and foe. And friend has treated us very badly. It's not even believable that for so many years, you know, I was using tariffs in my first administration. We had the most successful financially administration that there's ever been. This is going to be much better. But we got cut short with the COVID because I didn't think it was appropriate when, you know, Italy, Spain, so the horror show that a lot of the countries went through. So I cut it a little bit short. But we took in hundreds of billions of dollars, and we had the most successful term ever from a president financially. But this is going to be much more successful. Yes, please.
Here to face tariffs as well?
I haven't thought of it, but I don't know. Let's see, I like him, and him. No, I don't think so. Not too much. He's very good. These are friends of mine now. Yes,
thank you for taking our questions, Mr. President.
Okay.
You talked about the amount of external revenue the country has brought in thanks to your tariffs. Can you talk about how these hundreds of billions of dollars that are getting brought in will help grow the country, and what do you hope to put it towards?
Well, bigger than the tariffs, actually, are the fact that when you charge the tariffs at a certain point, they say, well, we can't pay those tariffs. It doesn't make economic sense. These are wealthy countries, and they or their companies will come into our country and build, and that's what's actually happening. If you had a very low tariff, there'd be no incentive to do that. If you have no tariff, like we used to have, which is so stupid, it's not even believable, but then obviously they make their product, the product in their country. They have the jobs, they have the income, they have the taxes, they have everything, and they just send it into us, and it's jobs that we wouldn't get. Now the wheel is turned. And what we're doing is more important, we're taking in hundreds of billions of dollars, money that we've never seen before. But more important than that, we have a lot of people that would rather not have to pay that. So they're coming in and they're building plants. AI, we're leading everybody, including China, by a lot with AI. They're building their own plant. You heard me say yesterday, they're building their own electric generating plants to go along with the factories or plants that they're building. If they want to do that, we're getting them fast approvals, very fast turnarounds. They're using mostly natural gas to start off, but they're using coal. They have the right to use coal. They have the right to use nuclear. Nuclear's come a long way in the last 5 years. So we're getting them very fast approvals. We have factories and plants building at a level that we've never had in this country before. Yeah.
And secondly, a study from the Council of Economic Advisors. You put it on Truth Social yesterday. It showed that your assessment that tariffs would slow inflation was accurate and that the prices of imported goods since February has fallen. That your assessment was right, the critics were wrong. Why do so-called experts continually misread your economic policy, sir?
Well, it's not the experts. It's the fake news and a combination of that and the Democrats. I saw an ad on television today on Fox. And it was some ad about, Trump has raised costs. It's the opposite. I actually put out a statement. I brought down costs. I brought down the cost of groceries. I brought down the cost of tremendously groceries. If you remember my first week in office, the press was screaming at me about the cost of eggs. They were 4 times higher than they were just a short time ago. That was caused by Biden and stupid policies, and we got that down. And by Easter, it was normalized, and now it's actually even at a lower price. So when I see an ad like that, it's always good to respond. I feel you have to respond. It was an ad that things are more costly. No, they're much less costly. Yesterday, $1.99 a gallon. There's 3 states were selling gasoline at $1.99. You haven't seen that for a long time. And I brought costs way down, just about every cost. I can't think of a cost that went up, but just about every cost. So what they do is they lie. I mean, they take ads. You'd almost think that the advertising station would stop it because they know it's wrong. It's such a lie. All you can do is say it's a lie and explain it. I guess I have the ability to explain it at conferences like this, so I like to take advantage of it and do it. But costs are substantially down under the Trump administration. And as you know, Biden had the highest inflation, I believe, in the history of our country. They say 48 years, but regardless, I think it was really the highest in the history of our country. And they were up to numbers that nobody ever saw before. And we have inflation now totally under control. We have a Fed chairman that, if he was doing his job properly, would lower interest rates. But we're bullying through even that. We're doing so well, it's not having that kind of an impact on us. But you want to see a rocket ship? We should have the lowest interest rates, because without us, there's nothing. And we have a strong country now, and we're taking in a lot of money. And other countries aren't even complaining. They got away with murder. They took advantage of a lot of very stupid people that sat in the seat, very stupid people, or people that didn't understand business or something was going on. But hard to believe that they got away with it for so many years. But now, and I'm treating them very fairly. Again, we have countries with tremendous deficits with us, where we have, where we essentially lose a lot of money. And we are changing that around very rapidly, and I think it's about time somebody did it. Yeah, please.
Sir, yesterday you said that you were not sure who ordered the munitions halted to Ukraine. Have you since been able to figure that out?
Well, I haven't thought about it, because we're looking at Ukraine right now and munitions, but I have not gone into it.
What does it say that such a big decision could be made inside your government without you knowing?
I would know. If a decision was made, I will know. I'll be the first to know. In fact, most likely I'd give the order, but I haven't done that yet. Yeah, please.
Can I ask how your meeting with Netanyahu went over the last couple of days, and how realistic do you think a ceasefire is this week?
Well, we're talking about Gaza for the most part. I think we have a chance this week or next week. Not definitely. There's nothing definite about war and Gaza and all of the other places that we all deal with so much, but there's a very good chance that we'll have a settlement, an agreement of some kind this week, and maybe next week if not.
As well, sir, the African Growth and Opportunity Act, which has been central to many sub-Saharan countries having access to the U.S. market, that's due to expire in September. Are you hoping to extend that beyond it?
Well, we'll take a look at that. Yes, please.
Thank you. That's up to Congress to take a first crack at. We know that program's been in place for about 20 years, and at the end result of that, we see a lot of other countries operating in Africa. We still see a lot of tariff and non-tariff barriers in Africa. So I think any discussion about that act would also have to think about how we address those kinds of barriers.
Yeah, Peter.
President Trump, in Alvarado, Texas, a few days ago, 10 people wearing all black, allegedly set off fireworks outside an ICE office to lure the officers out so they could ambush them, shoot at them. They had guns and vests and two-way radios. Do you think that this was an isolated incident, or do you think there's a national threat of a left-wing militia that is targeting ICE and CBP?
Well, I think you have some very stupid people in the left who have some money that are making it available to these people, because you look at the guns they had, they were brand new. You look at even the clothing they were wearing, it looked like it just came out of some military shop. So you have some very stupid people that if anything ever happened, they'd be the first to go. They don't understand that. They'd be the first to go. They'd be the first ones hit. But there is money being put behind people. When you look at the weapons they have, the newness of the weapons, rifles that just came out and they have the latest model. So there's something going on, and we'll get to the bottom of it.
And what do you think the penalty should be for these people who are, if they are found guilty, for people who shoot at ICE officers?
Very, very stiff. Very stiff. A long time in jail, a long time. And one got hit yesterday in the neck, and he fortunately is going to be okay, but he got hit yesterday in the neck. No good.
And what would you think if I read you a quote from a lawmaker who says about ICE, to abolish it, to treat them as criminals or anything that is inappropriate and outrageous? And I told you that that was Democrat John Fetterman.
Well, it's, by the way, I assume when you read that, because you paused in the middle, you're going to have to read that again without the pause. Could you read that again, please?
To abolish it, to treat them as criminals or anything that's inappropriate and outrageous.
So he's saying that to treat the people that did the shooting is... Oh, okay, good. Because the way you read it, it really was the opposite. That's okay. That's all right. I think that's what he meant. No, the new John Fetterman is exactly what you said. He's right. He's right. And we have to protect our police officers, and we will. And we have been. If you saw the stats released by the FBI the other day, the murder rate's way down, the lowest it's been in a long time, and that took place over the last 6 months. For the last 6 months, murder, it's a hell of a subject to have to talk about, but murder is way down at almost getting to be modern day records. So that's despite the fact that we have a lot of people that came into the country that shouldn't be here.
Mr. President?
Yes, please.
So two questions, one on tariffs, the other on the IRS. On tariffs, China is reportedly softening their impact on U.S. tariffs in Africa, announcing last month that they would halt charges on imports for nearly all of its African partners.
Good.
Does this move by China influence your thinking, your approach to tariffs on the continent?
Well, we treat Africa great in many different ways, including with tariffs. But, parts of Africa charge us tremendous tariffs, as you know. And they're going to be dropping those tariffs. They've already informed me they're going to be dropping those tariffs. But we treat Africa far better than China or anybody else, anyplace else. Yeah.
And on the IRS says that churches can now endorse political candidates. What's your reaction to this, and how do you expect this to influence some of the work that's afoot on the continent? There's a lot of American churches that are missionaries doing missionary work on the continent. Do you support that?
I love the fact that churches can endorse a political candidate. I think so, because we have a lot of respect for the people that lead the church, for the pastors and the ministers and the rabbis and the all different leaders, all different religions, and people respect those people. And I think there's nothing wrong. It was a very big penalty if that took place just a little while ago. They had a thing called the Johnson Act, and it was a very big penalty. I think it's great if a pastor, minister, priest, rabbi, and we could very much go into your religion, by the way, which is something that people are having great respect for throughout the world. If somebody of faith wants to endorse, I think it's something that I'd like to hear, and I can guarantee you the people that they're with every Saturday or Sunday or whatever it is they're with, they want to hear from these people, and it was a very severe penalty. Those people were not allowed to speak up. Now they're allowed to speak up. No, I think it's terrific.
Mr. President,
Your administration took new actions against Harvard University today. Are you still optimistic about reaching a deal with the university?
Oh, yeah, I think so. Harvard's been very bad, totally anti-Semitic, and yeah, they'll absolutely reach a deal. Peter?
I just got a text from our colleague John Roberts. He says that we are now reporting the guy who was arrested in the Alvarado, Texas incident for tampering with the evidence was a green card recipient under the Biden administration and a prior DACA recipient. What do you think of that?
It's very sad. It's very bad. A lot of them are here. We came in 21 million. I think it's higher than that, by the way, but they say 21 million people came in. Many of them are criminals. Many of them are murderers. 11,888 is what they say are murderers. And they came in through open border policies, no checking, no vetting, no nothing. And we have a lot of that. And despite that, we have crime down, which is pretty amazing.
This is a
And
long
say hello
meeting,
to
so
John. Say hello to John Roberts.
I will. I'm sure he's watching this right now. A lot of news has broken since we've been in here. Axios says a secret White House meeting between Steve Witkoff, Ron Dermer, and a Qatari envoy on Tuesday led to significant progress in the negotiations over the Gaza hostage and ceasefire deal. What can you tell us about this
It's
secret
very possible.
meeting?
I will tell you we're getting very close to a deal. I don't know if it's secret or not secret, but it doesn't matter to me. Secret's fine if it gets us to where we want to be. We want to have a ceasefire. We want to have peace. We want to get the hostages back. And I think we're close to doing it. Okay? Thank you all very much. Thank you very much. Thank you, Peter.
The sheriff called out every deputy he has, and we had over, I think, 20, 25 deputies assisting in the search and rescue of people during this disaster. So the county is here. We can continue to work.
Well, that was the end of that segment, guys. Appreciate y'all for joining me. Appreciate y'all for commenting in the comment section. I'm reading them as they come in. And we got some guys in there dropping some good jewels about a lot of things. Appreciate y'all for rocking with me. Now we're going to move over to New Mexico. There's it's flooding going on around America, bro, and it's bad. We got to pray for the people in Central Texas, San Antonio, in New Mexico, in North Carolina. So we're getting an update about the floods in New Mexico right now. I appreciate y'all, guys. Everybody that's commenting, dropping jewels, I really appreciate y'all. Right now, I'm going to take the time to shout out the top commenters. I like to do that over here. We got Jonathan Davis. Shout out to you. You in first place. We got second place. Third place, John. Appreciate you. And second place, the Don. So we got Jonathan Davis in first place. We got the Don in second place. And we got John Tiano in third place. Shout out to everybody that's commenting in this comment section. The top 3 commenters. Appreciate you for commenting. Appreciate your intake. And then I want to give a shout out to, let me find him. Let me find them, guys. There's a lot of people commenting. I appreciate y'all. Where you at, bro? To Richard Crosby. He's giving a lot of good information inside of this chat. Richard Crosby, want to give a shout out to you, bro. Appreciate you for coming in and giving us your knowledge on the stock market. Really appreciate it, bro. Really appreciate it. I hope you are a subscriber to the channel. So here we go. Let's get the updates, guys. May God bless you and your families, guys. Appreciate y'all for joining me.
The adult gentlemen that you've lost in this community, unfathomable, unfair, and is the worst of these kinds of disasters. More Americans are lost post-fires in flooding. This is the most dangerous part of both the short-term and the long-term recovery. And you have now suffered those losses. My condolences on behalf of the whole state to that family. I wish the father a speedy, full recovery, and to his wife, who is supporting that journey, her own emotional journeys. These losses are lifelong, and there are no words that can take away that devastation. But we are truly heartsick and sorry. 2, there are other losses in this community. The number one job is to assess those losses right now, to get every business, big and small, back on its feet to the highest possible return we can, and to give resources in that design. And third, and it's parallel to that, is to get the silt out again, is to manage and mitigate the damages, to protect us from more water that is coming, and to be able to do those in a parallel so that people feel like their lives are getting back on track. Now, how do I know that we can get all of that done, given that we believe it's going to rain tomorrow? A couple of reasons. One, the federal government has directly reached out. That is incredibly important and very valuable. It's as important as having your governor here, your lieutenant governor, your congressional delegation, the general of the New Mexico National Guard, because your local leaders haven't slept, nor should they, but they haven't. They've been on the ground doing the work every minute of every day. And what they deserve is a team coming in telling you that whatever you ask for, whatever you need, whatever we can and should do, will get done. Well, the federal government should do that too. A larger part of the resources will come from the federal government. Secretary Noem from the Homeland Security is, I think, intending on coming to this community. That says a lot. 2, is really clear about money that was never received by the community that should have been. That's $12 million. That helps us do all the rest of the levee work that really needed to be in place because of the amount of water and how fast it moves coming off those burn scars. We want to make sure that you've got a wastewater treatment system that's secure. We want to make sure you got clean drinking water. We want to make sure that we're developing and garnering resources for individuals and families. All of it. She's also assured us that they are now fronting money, which is not something that FEMA does particularly. It's all based on reimbursements. We got to figure it out, then they reimburse us. It says a lot to me as a governor that the federal administration is putting money out here, out front. And we threw around a number. It's not a number that we know for sure yet. So I make sure I'm saying that. It's not, I don't have any writing and I don't have the check. But they're making the kind of outward, right, commitments that are very valuable of about $3 million. That's $15 million quick. When I mean quick, I expect them to hand me a check in an airport somewhere. I'm teasing. As you know, it'll all get wired. I promise I'm not that old. But we will get resources really moving quickly. That's $15 million from the federal government quick. The reason that happens is the congressional delegation have been on the phones and in the offices of our counterparts at the federal level. And I just want to personally thank you for making sure that happened. As a result, we expect the federal declaration to be signed shortly, today. Until it's signed, we're all guessing. But all of those kinds of early, quick commitments certainly are telling about the intent of the federal government to declare a national emergency so that we get all the other resources that come to continue to help us today, tomorrow, and for whatever the weather brings over the next several days, weeks, and months ahead. The last thing I want to tell you is that I work with a lot of communities. And there isn't a community in New Mexico where New Mexicans are not resilient and incredibly strong. They're proud of who they are and where they live. They accept any of those kinds of risks, and they just literally, with positivity, power through. But in addition to that, which you have in spades here, you need local governments that can do the work. And not everyone is in a situation where that readily comes. Working with Mayor Crawford in particular, and working with your county and your first responders, your electeds and local officials. The contractors are here, the expertise is here, They have this emergency operations center. They are already, before we get on the ground from the state, assessing damages so that they can do the declaration. They have contracts in place. This team is a team I actually go to train other communities to respond to their disasters. That is not how it is. It should be. The gold standard here in Ruidoso ought to be the standard in every single community, and we should dedicate our work to making sure they all get there. But I want this community to know. I mean, we're all raw. No one rawer than the people who witnessed it, who lived here, who lost their homes, who lost their properties, and who can't go to work and whose businesses are not yet open. No one suffering in that regard. Not the same. But when we are on the ground and see that stuff is already happening and getting cleaned up and getting reopened, it is an incredible sign of the kind of recovery that's possible. And this is my last thing. I've spoken way too long. While we're all grieving, I need to make sure, and I feel like I got that from the mayor in particular in the county, there are opportunities here. We have to think about not just this weekend and the following weeks. We need to think about the next decade or two. And we need to think about the opportunities that are here because of the people who live here. And we need to lean in and invest in every single one of those opportunities. And you have my commitment to make sure that the state components, that we meet every commitment and we do everything in our power to not just rebuild, but to create opportunities for your families for the next several generations. Thank you for having me today. And with that, I would like to ask the Lieutenant Governor, Howie Morales, to also share a few words. And I can leave the box for you, too. Okay.
First of all, I'd like to begin by saying thank you, as the governor mentioned, to our city officials. Mayor, thank you for the communication yesterday. Our county commissioners, all of our first responders, our law enforcement professionals, our National Guard, who never hesitates to be ready for the call when it comes. So we're grateful for that. You know, when we see the impact that it has to us here in the state, it goes far beyond that. I just received a newspaper article in Argentina talking about the impact that is what's happened here in Ruidoso. And while we see that we've, in many ways, have had to deal with this, whether it's flooding or fires that happen in the northeast part of the state, whether it took place in Downtown County or here in Ruidoso, we've had to work all too often to deal with these type of emergencies. And I just have to say that I'm extremely grateful, and the governor gave a lot of credit to a lot of people, but I want to take time to specifically say thank you, Governor, for your action. It was 10 o'clock at night when you got the information out, quickly moved on an emergency declaration, quickly got in response with our federal delegation, and ensuring that we can get as many resources as possible. And that's leadership. Your calm leadership during chaotic times is truly admirable, and I'm proud to be here to work with you, Governor. As we see the impact that's taken place, you know, I'm here in Lincoln County quite often. My kids are very involved, very active. And I can remember being at the softball fields and seeing my daughter playing and not even recognizing the field as I drove by a little while ago. Seeing an actual vehicle inside a home because of the power of the water. Those things leave an impact. And I have to say that because of the collaboration that we have here, not only at the local level, working with the state, but especially grateful for our collaboration that we have with our federal delegation. You guys are out there fighting day in and day out and still making time to make sure you're on the ground. I think that's a testament to the teamwork and the collaboration that we have and our leaders in New Mexico, so thank you for that. When we see where we go forward, there's a lot of uncertainty, and we recognize that. We don't know what the weather's going to hold for the next week, but we do know that we have a team with our local leadership that's going to make sure that people are safe, that they're going to be notified in a timely manner just as they did, and to ensure that we reduce any loss to lives. Unfortunately, we did lose 3, and we hope that that is all that we lose. But we recognize as a community that we come together, and that is what makes us special here in the state of New Mexico, is wherever we're impacted, people from all parts of the state come together to make sure we're taking care of one another. And by taking care of one another, I want to make sure I can turn this over now to an individual who's out there to ensure that there's still a lot of resources, a lot of dollars that are out there that are due to us from past devastations, that we get every single penny that comes in that our New Mexicans deserve. So at this time, I'd like to recognize and welcome Congresswoman Melanie Stansbury to the podium to share the work that's being done at the federal level on your behalf.
All right. Good morning, everyone. I'm Congresswoman Melanie Stansbury, and I represent New Mexico's 1st Congressional District that includes 10 counties, including all of Lincoln County and the village of Ruidoso. And I'm so honored to be joined by our governor, our lieutenant governor, city leadership, village leadership, as well as county leadership, and by my colleague, Gabe Vasquez, who traveled many thousands of miles to come here and be here for the community. Gabe's district, Representative Vasquez's district, includes much of Mescalero and Chavez and Otero County, and I have much of what's north on this side of the mountain. And as you can see, this is a unique experience in terms of the amazing way in which New Mexicans rally for our people. And I can tell you that what is happening here in Lincoln County in the emergency response and the long-term recovery is a testament to what it means to be a New Mexican. We are strong, we are resilient, we mobilize our communities, and we get out there and we help people. And that's who we are, that's what we do, and that's why we're here today. I want to say to the families who have lost their loved ones and who have lost their homes, it is unimaginable. Our hearts are breaking. For the gentleman in El Paso who is still in the hospital grieving his children who were lost, we cannot imagine the unfathomable grief that that family is going through right now. So we want to extend our condolences as a state, as the leadership of our communities, to that family, to the family that lost their loved one as well here, who is a resident of Ruidoso, and to the families who've lost their homes. Just a couple of blocks down the road here on Gavilan Road, I spent the afternoon yesterday walking around a mobile home park, and I can tell you there are dozens of families who have lost absolutely everything. I met a family who literally their trailer had washed hundreds of yards down the stream bed, and everything in their home is decimated. They lost absolutely everything. There was nothing salvageable in their home. They didn't even know where they were going to sleep that night. They hadn't even figured it out yet. We met the manager of the mobile home park who literally was sitting on his porch and didn't know what he was going to do the rest of the day because he couldn't stay in his home last night. But he had woken up after his dog got washed down the river and found his dog sleeping on the porch, and had spent the day, even though he didn't know where he was going to sleep last night, on a front-end loader helping his neighbors undig. I met some members of the community, a bunch of young girls who had a pickup truck who were out there at the trailer park helping people load things into their truck. And when I asked them, did they have family members or friends there, they said, no, we just came to help. The owner of a local business who was distributing food to people who were recovering. This is what communities do when they experience this kind of loss. And it's not only a testament to the leadership and community that has been created by both the village leadership and the county leadership here, but it is a testament to the resilience of New Mexicans. And so I want to say to everyone out there, whether it is our first responders and the incredible coordinated federal, state, local effort to save lives, to recover, and to make sure that people are going to be safe tomorrow, over the weekend, in the next several years, whether it's rebuilding this village and the county, there is no other better example of what it means to really rise to the occasion. And I also want to join our Lieutenant Governor in thanking the governor for leveraging her leadership and her relationships to help New Mexico, because I don't think it was a given, especially given everything that we see going on nationally, that we were going to see our federal partners step up to the plate And not only are they stepping up to the plate, they've deployed emergency crews to help with search and rescue. They are sending emergency money to help us. And as the governor said, we are expecting a national disaster declaration to be signed today. That happened because of our governor. So I want everyone to know that she's here on the ground, not only consoling our community, but she helped to unlock the resources we're going to need for this community. So there's really two pieces, I think, to the emergency response and the long-term recovery that's important to know. You know, over the coming days, we are expecting additional rain. There are homes and people that will be in harm's way. Just behind you in the rooms over here is the Coordinated Emergency Response Center. It is one of the most sophisticated, well-oiled machines I've seen in terms of emergency response, and aptly led by our local first responders alongside our National Guard. We will protect New Mexicans, but if you live here in Ruidoso, follow the emergency evacuation orders. We cannot lose another life. So it's really important over the coming days that everyone follow those emergency orders, and we're going to do everything we can to get dollars, humans, and rescue folks on the ground to make sure that we protect our community. As the governor said, we're hoping to get emergency money and also money that had been promised to the village here as quickly as possible to help desilt the riverbed so that the impacts are lessened. And we're trying to unlock additional money to help with recovery. But to also illustrate the all hands on deck, I talked this morning to tribal council leadership at Mescalero. Everybody is helping this community. Water trucks delivered. I met folks from the Lions Club in Carlsbad who drove up yesterday in pickup trucks to help out folks in need. This is really an all hands on deck effort. But the emergency response is today, tomorrow, the rest of the monsoon season. But we're gonna need help, support, for our families and communities for the next decade, because it's going to take a lot to recover this community. They have experienced catastrophe after catastrophe. The impacts to the racetrack, if you haven't seen them, are catastrophic. That is $150 million in the local economy a year. You cannot replace that overnight. And so our ask to everyone out there who cares about the people of Ruidoso and New Mexico is we're going to need you over the coming years, and please help us continue to support this community. And finally, I'll just say we have extraordinary leadership. You don't always see the alignment of leadership from the federal to the state to the county to the local, but we are fortunate to have one of the best local governments here in Lincoln County and Ruidoso. And so, Mayor, hats off to you. You've done an extraordinary job, and your team, and to our first responders here. And with that, I'm going to turn it now to my colleague, Representative Gabe Vasquez, Representative New Mexico's 2nd Congressional District. Thank you so much for being here.
All right, I'm about 6'1" now. Thank you, Governor.
What up, ATM Tim? How you doing, bro?
Vasquez. And as you all know,
appreciate you for
County
joining me.
Was part of 2nd Congressional District over the course of many decades. Most importantly for me, and for a lot of folks from Southern New Mexico and West Texas, this was our Disneyland. This is our Disneyland. And not a lot of kids got the opportunity to go very far away from home, but Ruidoso was the place where you could come and you could fish, you could decompress, you could go camping for the first time. And we want to make sure that this community continues to be not just a gem for Southern New Mexico, but for surrounding areas in the entire state. And so this means more to this community than just this disaster, but this hub, this gem of activity and economic opportunity for folks that has brought so many visitors here, and that's invited a great quality of life for so many for so long. So I also want to start by thanking the incredible coordination and the efforts of our first responders, the National Guard, our utility workers, local folks who came out and did some of the unimaginable things, jumping into the floodwaters to save both people, property, and pets. I want to thank the mayor specifically and the governor for their quick and close coordination. As we see natural disasters play out across the country, and we see mixed responses to those disasters playing out, and even right here in the state of New Mexico, I think it's been echoed by our community leaders and by our elected officials that the
When
coordination
Biden
here is
was
truly
president,
one
what happened to
that's
the
exemplary
Epstein,
for how to
Hillary,
handle this type of disaster. But the
Obama?
work is not over. It's simply not. And so mine and Congresswoman Stansbury's job, as well as the New Mexico congressional delegation, are unified in our request to President Trump to approve this emergency declaration as quickly as possible.
They ducked that list. I think
everybody
is on that
natural
list.
Disasters in southern New Mexico over the last several years and over the last several months that have been compounded. And so this emergency declaration isn't just limited to Lincoln County, but it also includes Otero County. It includes Grant County.
I think everybody's on the list.
And so those federal
All the
dollars that will come
above.
in to help us rebuild, to help with mitigation efforts, are going to be part of a larger effort to combat some of these wildfires that we've had, to make sure that we have adequate infrastructure, like levees in places like Valencia County, and certainly the infrastructure that we need here to make sure that people and property are protected. And so this is the new reality that we live in. Our job as the folks that you trust to lead your communities is to make sure that we bring every single dollar and use it appropriately with the guidance from the local community to protect businesses and to protect local economies, to protect people. That's what we are here to do. And I am confident, as the governor mentioned, that we will have this disaster declaration signed, hopefully as early as this morning, perhaps later today, which will trigger some much needed federal funding. I think overall we're looking at something like $50 million in the cost just for recovery here in Lincoln County based on some of the estimates that the governor's office has put together. And so that's going to require a huge portion to come from the federal government. And I am committed, along with Congresswoman Stansbury, to making sure that those dollars make it here because that's really, really important. And moving forward, as we work with the National Forest Service, as we work with Mescalero Apache Reservation, local governments, we all have to continue to work together to make sure that we are all playing our part and that this interjurisdictional issues that we sometimes have, that we can put those aside and make sure that we act quickly on behalf of the people, that we act quickly to mitigate future catastrophes such as these, and that we avoid the tragic losses that we have seen here. I was driving up here this morning and I was reading the story of the family who was deeply impacted, and looking at a photo of the young children who unfortunately lost their lives here.
Now all of a sudden there is no list.
And it is so heartbreaking to see that those lives were cut short in such a tragic event that we hope to prevent in the future, because nobody should have to go through that. Nobody should have to suffer through that. And if you can just imagine, that type of panic and fear that sets into a family when this type of event happens, it is truly unimaginable. And so for those folks that are grieving their loved ones, for that extended family, for the other gentleman who lost his life here, we are all with you to support you. I know this community will come together to support them in their time of need, as well as the Fort Bliss military community as well, and the community of El Paso. So I also want to thank Representative Veronica Escobar because she was on the phone with us asking what she could do from El Paso, and using her power as a congressperson representing El Paso to make sure we got our disaster declaration as well. So it even extends beyond our congressional delegation and down to our neighbors in El Paso. And that's the type of community that this is. We will come together.
I think if they drop that list and we find out everybody is on that list, I think that list itself will bring people together, bro. If they drop that list and everybody's on the list, Americans and people around the world are gonna come together. They don't want that. That's one thing they don't want, is for us to come together. They don't want that, guys.
A historic event, but it could be something that we have to face year after year. And that's going to take a lot of input from local folks, and that's going to take a lot of funding, and that's what we're going to prioritize in our work in Congress to make sure that happens. And that includes full funding for the disaster relief program, which is on the chopping block, and we are asking for full funding for that because that is the fund that helps with personal compensation to victims of natural disasters as well as post-recovery. So we're going to continue to do our work in Congress on behalf of this beautiful state and this beautiful community that we represent. Thank you all.
Okay, and I know that this area is special to the congressman. I've been to his office in Washington, D.C. He's an amateur photographer, and I've seen pictures of Ruidoso, Lincoln County, where he's out hiking. So they're telling us the truth, and I want to thank you guys for being so highly motivated to make this a success, because we do have a long journey to go ahead. So we appreciate you being here with us. General, I know that you've got a Black Hawk tour here in a minute, so they can see overhead. Do we have any time, or you need to go?
I think we've got time.
Okay, so we still want to answer a few questions, but we do have your county commissioners here. I want to make sure everybody knows who the new county manager is.
Ellie Aubrey, are you trying to come together over the Epstein list? No, but I know that nobody likes people playing with kids. Nobody likes that. And something got to bring us together, bro. Something got to bring us together because if we come together, a lot of things that are happening won't be happening right now. Because if we come together, we will control. If the people come together, they will have less control over what's going on. So I think that something got to bring the people together. And I know nobody likes pedophiles, bro. Nobody likes pedophiles. So if we find out that all these people are on that list, guess what's going to happen? We're going to stop buying all this high-ass shit that they got. They're going to have to come down on these prices. That's my opinion. I think that something got to bring us together. And I know nobody likes pedophiles. That's all I'm saying.
Of dollars. We start with the immediate, saving lives, redirecting fast-moving water, dealing with communications, and then making sure people have places to stay, food to eat, that they have the right personal all those are our short-term efforts. Long-term, it's rebuilding everybody's lives and the community. So $3 million out of FEMA. We have money. It wasn't allocated early. And the administration has assured us that that money will also make its way. So $15 million quick to jumpstart these efforts. State money, we have already declared our disasters, so we're bringing in resources, the same thing. I'm here with the delegation. Tell me how much it is and where it goes. So we're rolling all of that up right now. But this community should expect in the next day and days and weeks, tens of millions of dollars making its way over coming months, 100 million or more. And overall, we got a long way to go. We're talking about sizable resources to recover this community. I want to make sure that you know that. But we checked the White House log, the Congresswoman did, as we were walking in. But we're all feeling incredibly confident that that's going to get signed. I want to point out, it is not a political statement. You have to meet a threshold. Small communities, even with devastation, don't always meet the thresholds. It is federal law. So it's a question, and you don't always meet the threshold, and you sometimes have a White House that doesn't deem it to be a national emergency. And in this administration that has happened, and it has happened in other administrations. Today, we are getting every signal that that is not going to happen out of this federal administration, and that they're already working on getting money to us immediately. That is a very good sign.
I just want to add quickly.
Yeah.
This is going to be likely an please. I think it's really important for folks to know that this is likely to be an ongoing disaster. The village actually asked for a federal disaster declaration 2 weeks ago because of flooding just a few weeks ago, and it got rolled into the current request for this flood. But as you all know, it's monsoon season, and because of the burn scar on the mountain and the shape of these canyons, we could see ongoing flooding. And just like was experienced last year, you know, just as soon as families dug out, another flood hit. And so it's important that folks know that this is not a one-time event. It could continue to occur, and we have notified the federal government and Secretary Noem that we may need ongoing support.
Okay, thank you for that. Yes, sir.
I just wanted to confirm, you said that $3 million is coming from FEMA, 15 million, what is that?
12 million is coming out of USDA.
USDA?
Yes.
Okay.
And so that's the 15 total.
And then over time, potentially, we could see $100 million.
Yeah, and I just threw that out as a ballpark because, and I did it for this reason.
Okay.
When you assess the damages for homes lost, for infrastructure that must be repaired, for mitigation for future water, and just that kind of effort is $100 million. I mean, we're redoing a water system for the city of Las Vegas, and it's well over $200 million. So I think it's sometimes really valuable, and I appreciate your asking and writing about it, for people to know it's so much money, which is why the federal part is so critical, because there's a ton of states don't have those resources, and so they can't rebuild. This state has resources. Federal government's going to give us their resources. It gives us confidence to tell you and the community those resources are coming. I do want to do one more thing based on your question that I didn't do a very good job. The mayor, the county, your first responders, and this, we sometimes do it unilaterally from the state, and I'm really proud of that. And when I say unilaterally, I get the credit, and the General Aguilar, moves equipment and personnel in advance of weather and other high-risk issues. This community didn't just wait for us to do that. They were doing it well in advance of last week and before. There was already guard personnel here. There's already equipment here. Sometimes we can't remove the debris for days. We can't open a road. We can't repair a bridge because we're just finished, and not really finished, fighting fires in Grant County. And so these personnel are deployed everywhere. I got flooding in many communities, not like this. But it can be a minute before everybody recoalesces to the next emergency. We were already here, and the feds, before the amended declaration, already sent swift water folks here. That is important, because God forbid we could have lost more lives. God forbid we could have lost more children. And it is really, I think, valuable to know that this community was as ready as you can be. None of us know. And with climate change, Mother Nature is rarely in these issues our friend. And it's a massive set of risks that we work to eradicate, frankly, and mitigate. And so I want folks in this community to know there were people here. There have been people here for weeks, and we're not going anywhere. And all the contracts, the other equipment, all the experts are also already here in this community. That's a game changer for rebuilding. That's not the case, unfortunately. I have to tell my members of Congress in every community.
And you guys are expecting that 3 to 12 to be arriving as soon as possible?
I mean, I would literally say, like, I'm teasing. I'm going to call my Department of Finance and Homeland Security and ask them to look in the bank account in 15 minutes. My expectations, when the secretary calls you, that is not something that always happens. Okay, she called me, she reached out, and then we were playing phone tag. Also, if you miss a call from the President of the United States or one of the secretaries, they have a lot of calls to make. Typically, you're done. You get a voicemail, you move from there. The administration kept reaching out. This gives me every signal that when they say money is freed up and being made available, it's immediate. And for me, immediate is yesterday. So when that money hits the accounts, the local community will know. We'll put that out there.
Thank you, Governor, but I think they wanted to talk to you. They know where I live. So if we could take a few more questions. Yes, sir.
Hi, Algernon from the Albuquerque Journal. Mayor, do you have any consolidated estimates of how many rescues there have been from National Guard and swift rescue teams and all these agencies so far, and whether you are still more on the footing of search and rescue and recovery, or are you able to focus more on positioning for the rains that are coming?
Eric, can we get the emergency manager over here? He's on top of that.
We have 65 just from this last storm,
Right.
right? Yes. Okay.
And you don't need that.
No. Sorry. So just to reiterate your question, confirming the number of rescues that happened over the last couple of days, and then what we're doing for the future. Just to your question? Yeah. Okay. So as they said, yes, 65 rescues, and we are nearing the search and rescue phase for this operational period is coming to a conclusion. So we've moved out of the village of Ruidoso. Teams from the county have picked up from the county line and the Ruidoso jurisdictional line, and they're moving out.
Kabir, hi, I want to collab with you for digital marketing. Where can I email you details? Hit me up on Instagram. Go in the description of my videos and hit my Instagram. And we'll see if we're fit for each other, bro. I see what you're talking about. Hit me up on Instagram. All my contact information is in the description of my videos.
Monsoon season ends September 30th. That's a long way away from now. So just to reiterate that we will continue in a ready state posture for anything that does come our way. Thank you for
I
your
might
question.
give you a little more credit
Yes,
on the other question that you asked, which the search and rescue. And correct me, but two things that they've done incredibly well. One, they have staff at the local hospital. So if people are still trying to connect with loved ones or questions, they've got folks there. So it's not just checking to see if a family member's been admitted or checked in or checking ambulances coming. Their team is there. And two, they have a hotline. As we were talking yesterday, we're reconciling. We have not found one individual that's been, that the family is not connected.
Well, I'm ending right here, guys. Appreciate y'all for joining me. It's a lot going on. Of course, everybody's mind is on the EPTEIN list. Yeah, I want to see the EPTEIN list myself. So I'm going to end it right here, guys. Appreciate everybody for rocking with me. I'm going to announce the leaderboard again. Top commenters on the leaderboard. In first place, we got Jonathan Davis. In second place, we got the Don. Third place, we got John Tiano. Appreciate y'all for joining me, man. Everybody has been rocking with me, subscribing to the channel. I appreciate y'all for joining me. Hopefully y'all come join me on the walk down. Hopefully it don't rain today, bro. I'm tired of getting soaking wet. So hopefully it's not raining today on the walk down. Come by and kick it with me on the walk down, guys. With that being said, I love and I appreciate y'all. 704 Wall Street is my block. 704 Wall Street is my block. Earn, spend less, and make proper investments. To the next one, I love and I appreciate y'all. To the next one, I'm out.